Aloha, my name is Dylen Joaquin, and we are in Ahuloa, Honoka'a, and I own AJ Ranch. I am a 6th generation rancher here in Hawaii, and this was my grandfather's place. I inherited it in 2017. I took over operation. My grandfather had already passed, but I took over this area from my mother in 2017. My mother and father are the youngest of the oldest. So I'm the youngest of them. So my first cousins are in their 50s. Seeing them with their operations kind of made me want to be like them, because, you know, they're my first cousins. This is my generation, and they're already with their businesses and they're out there ranching on their own. And so that kind of lit a fire in me. I was like, I want to be like them, you know, and all my family are just very well-rounded people, talented. I mean, the men in my family are like welders, butchers, cowboys, electricians, plumbers. I mean, just well-versed people. And so growing up, I always wanted to be like them, and that kind of lit a fire in me. And so when I used to be on the ranch with my grandfather, he was like, you know, hopefully one day this will, you know, you guys can take over for Papa. And I ended up just being his tail and going to the ranch with him, even if it was just to move cows. And my grandfather used to move cows in the coolest way. He used to honk his horn. He used to honk his horn and play music out in the pasture, and the cows would like just come to the truck and then move paddocks. It was so funny. And he would just, as they're coming to the gate, he would just be like, see that cow right there? Like, that's a good cow because she's got good udders, you know, that's where I got introduced to like the terms of easy fleshing and how to determine if a cow is old, a cow is young, and different traits to look for in terms of conformation, and of course, like key indicators of like good mothering. So that's where I learned all that kind of basic principles. And as I got older, I started ranching, and I started to kind of see more of the hardships that we're facing as ranchers, and I wanted to get involved. And I ended up going to a Cattlemen's Association meeting. I knew friends and family who were already members, and I just was like, you know, this would be cool. And my grandparents would always say, you know, if you have anything to say, or if you want your voice to be heard, you have to take a seat at the table. Come on. Okay, wait, I'm going to take a few steps back. So in Hawaii, because we're on an island, land is limited. Okay, natural resources are limited on where you're able to lease, where you're able to acquire land. And, you know, we're forced to raise cattle in the stones, you know, in drier areas. We don't have the opportunity to only raise cattle in the lush green pastures of Waimea, Honoka'a, you know, Kalapa, and so on and so forth. So we got all kinds of environments that we're, you know, raising cattle in. And so further south, we have a lot of rockier area, definitely different forage. I mean, it doesn't rain as much, so the forage is a lot more tough. So, you know, to overcome those obstacles, they try to breed a little bit of a Bosindicus cattle, like Brahmin. They'll breed that further south, just to kind of have them acclimate better and do well in those drier areas. I've been selling bulls for the past 6 years. And heifers when I can. Other than that, I sell at the gate. Whatever I feel is not going to be whatever doesn't sell here locally, I'll sell in the mainland. And most of my cattle in the past years were going to California. And then I do a grass finish program too, but only a handful a year. Here in Hawaii, because prices fluctuate so much, and I'm sure it does, I mean, nationwide, but it fluctuates, you know, with the market, and obviously we got to cover transportation cost. So it does, but what we're getting here compared to the mainland is significantly less. I think that having an animal on a grass finish program is pretty risky, because if the weather goes bad, you don't have anywhere to go with them. Hopefully as we expand, I'll be able to do more grass finish, because I'd like to keep my beef local. And that's also the great marketing tool, right? Is I have this picture of one of the steaks that I grass finished in Kohala. I mean, it looked a graded prime, and it looked like it was corn fed, you know. And that's what I kind of use, like, oh, you know, if you use my animals, this is what you get. But if I have, you know, if I've been doing a grass finish market and then it comes out, you know, they grade top all the time, I mean, who's not going to want to buy your bulls, you know? But just if I expand, then I'll probably do more of a grass finish program. But for right now, it's kind of risky for me as a owner operator and the only employee. It's a little too risky, especially when you got no place to go with your cattle. Because our soil is so young, it lacks a few minerals. Like you'll notice some Lacanian cows, you know, they'll be a little bit copper deficient. They'll have that little bit light browning on their back. So because our soil is so young, that's kind of what we got to work with. There is minerals available here in Hawaii that we can supplement them with. I haven't supplemented them yet this year, just because I feel like they don't need it. But
do you have to do selenium shots?
No. Well, I guess there is selenium and multimin.
Yeah, there is.
But I'll do a multimin during branding, but I won't do it unless the cow looks like she needs it. So here, never. But my other pastures, I'll kind of look at my cows, and if I feel like if they're kind of coarse in the hair, I'll give them a shot of multimin. But other than that, I try to just let nature kind of takes its toll. I mean, like I said before, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. And if you're just throwing money at them just because, and even like worming too, some people say, worm every, so many months, every year. If I feel like that herd doesn't need worming, I try not to, because that also affects, soil microorganisms as well. When you overworm, then you're not allowing, once that wormer passes through that animal, now it's in the soil, and that could affect the microbes in the soil, which could affect the soil health and grass quality and so on and so forth. So I try not to worm only when needed.
Mm-hmm. And if you're rotation grazing too, you should need to deworm less anyway.
Yeah. I'm always just down to learn, I see, other operations where they kind of stick to the same. And I think in this, what is that word? Hey, sorry, this young guy is so curious. I think in a world that is constantly evolving, we got to be able to pivot at all angles. So primarily my operation here is a seed stock producer. That's what I like to do. I like to produce, Angus influenced cattle. I have pure red Angus, Angus Hereford, and Angus Charolais crosses. I have a few F1 crosses, that Angus Hereford, that 50-50, and then I have some that are a little bit dwindled down. But I like to produce that seed stock so that other ranches can, if they look at my operations, like, oh, those cattle flesh easy. They do well in different climates and environments. So I have bulls that are in, the south of the island, which is buffalo grass. I mean, you won't find buffalo grass in this area, But buffalo grass, very low rainfall, and they seem to be doing good. And they came from, you know, a place that, you know, usually has over 100 inches of rain a year. Hey. And having the cattle to be adaptive is kind of what I go for, and also just easier fleshing all around. Easy fleshing, very docile. Majority of my cows I can maybe not cuddle, but I can probably, you know, pet on the nose out in the open, feed a cube or two, not a problem. I just think that as a operation with only, you know, one employee, technically, I think just having them tame and being able to move them on your own makes a world of difference.